I like I said, I'm gonna keep on hitting y'all with this knowledge, these facts, and just it's just a random thing. Some of the shit I done already seen, but just I'm just doing this to put this out of people's face to trigger that thought to start doing research and start thinking outside the box. Because if we start realizing the little lies and the little truths that they've been hiding from us, a lot of stuff will make sense and it'll make people think in a different manner, like make you examine the world that you live in, the resource, I mean the sources of this information we be getting from people, and so like I said, I'm doing this one. This is basically called "White People Debunk Hebrew Israelites," and all of this stuff keys in and ties in together because there's a lot of lies going on in this world and people don't understand that what's the root of a lot of things. And then if we understand what the root of a lot of things is, it'll make more sense on our current event in the world and a lot of shit. So we're gonna get into this, and this is called White People Debunk Hebrew Israelites.
Ministry begins with them.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 68. And Yahweh shall bring you into Mitzrayim, Egypt again with ships. And the way of which I said to you, you shall see it no more again. And there you shall be sold to your enemies for slaves and female slaves, and no man shall buy you. And that is what happened to the regal class of the house of Judah. And I want to give you a brief history. I won't go into it too much, but I can't just make that statement because there'll be people that will push back. But I want to give you a brief history on slavery. I was just amazed, I got to tell you. I mean, when you come to America and you talk to people about slavery, you can talk to black people about slavery, white people about slavery, and they'll give you all this history on slavery, and it only goes back to the 16th and the 17th century. And you're like, don't they?
And that's kind of like I tell people all the time, like especially when I break down knowledge to people, I be like, who were black people of America, and a lot of black people that were scattered throughout the world, the Haitians, the Jamaicans, the South Americans, who was all of these people they before slavery? American history never goes into that. Who was the Indians before they started calling them Indians? They had a name that they went by themselves. All of these titles we going by now was put on people by white people. Even the Mexicans. Who was the Mexicans? What did they call themselves before white people started calling them Negroes, calling them Indians, and so forth and so far. So, like I said, in Black history, they only go to the slave boat. They never go farther back before the slave boat because that's where the real truth, and then where people realize that, like especially white America, they'll realize that what they've been doing and what they've been having a hand in ignorantly is what it will scare the fuck out of y'all for the shit, the way that y'all look at people, especially black people, and what y'all been taught to make you look yourself in the mirror and see the real monster within. And it might not be a monster within you, but the monster within your people and in your nation. So let's look at this. Let's keep it going.
Teach you the history of slavery? Why? Ask the bloody question. Why are they only teaching you the history of slavery as far back as the 16th and the 17th century? Why are they only going that far back? Because they don't want you to go farther back than that, because then you'll actually find out the truth. But from the 16th and 17th century, we'll teach you about slavery. You've got to go further back. And you've got to understand and question, why do they do this throughout the whole of America, in all the public schools? Why do they only go back as far as the 16th and the 17th century to talk about slavery? We've got to go further back than that. Because Islam designed infernal slavery. And then the Ashkenazi Khazars, those who say they are Jews and are not, are the ones that marketed it. And the regal Negro nomads exiled from the kingdom of Judah, were the main recipients of it at the hands of the indigenous black Africans. Because you've got to understand,
And this is why I correct black people now. We calling ourselves African Americans. We're not Africans. The Africans is different people than us. That's like saying all South Americans are the same. All South Americans are not. Well, back then they was kind of close, but now that's like saying all South Americans are the same. Like you got a continent as big as Africa, to say everybody in that continent at that time was Africans is ignorant. So there's different types of brown and black people. So there was people that looked like the Africans, but that don't mean that they was the Africans. That's ignorant shit that white America has sold to people and sold to everybody. Like that's just ignorant shit to say everybody in Africa was Africans.
regal class of the house of Judah came down from Israel, and they came into the land of the black Africans. And the black Africans resented the regal class of the house of Judah in their land because they had laws, they had customs, they had civility, and they were a regal class of Negro that came down into Africa.
And even to this day, the Africans is not like the African Americans. You might try to say, "Cause we in Africa, but we're two different type of people. Custom, why even the first slaves was different than the Africans that we see today, and of that time they was not the same people. It's ignorant grouping and categorizing shit that white people came up with. That is not the truth, and he's stating it right now. And this comes from a white face, because a lot of people, when black people talking shit, y'all don't like to hear it. But let's hear it from a white person. Maybe you might believe it just because they're white.
Later on, it was the Ashkenazi, the Islamic slave traders as well, that then worked together with the indigenous black Africans to enslave the regal house of Judah. This is what we've got to understand, but you've got to go back before the 16th century to understand the roots of it. So we're going to see, as we dig into this, where this slavery came from, because it was really a system that was very, very well crafted. There was Islamic masters, and there were white Ashkenazi Khazar ship owners. There were the buyers and the sellers. And they're not going to fill you in on all of this, but really you've got a 4-tier system. Number one, you have the Negro nomads that were exiled from the kingdom of Judah. Number two, you had indigenous black African hunters that resented the regal Negro nomads that had come into their territory with their own customs, with their own laws that were.
And this is funny because even to this day, Africans don't like African Americans. Like I had a thing where when I was in college, I used to chill with these African dudes, and I always would be like, "Man, I'm gonna go to Africa, man," and cause I'm African American, and I just want to see Africa, the homeland. They look at me and be like, "Y'all not African." And this was what 2009, 2010, might have been 2007. But they would, not 2006, one of them. But they would tell me that we're not Africans. And back then, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, nigga, we slaves, we came from Africa. But they were saying that just because y'all not African, y'all different type of people. But even to this day, Africans don't like African Americans. Like if you get the Bantus, Negroes, and the other Africans of Atlanta, the Bantus tribe in Africa is Negroes. They not Africans, and they know it, and they kind of beef with the other Africans. So we think that, Africans never really liked the Negro people because we look like them, but we wasn't the same people.
Different and would not assimilate into their tribal culture. They were their own tribe. They were the regal house of Judah. And number three, you had Islamic trappers that worked with the indigenous black Africans to trap the regal Negro house of Judah. And then you had them sell them to the Ashkenazi ship merchants, along with many Portuguese and British Ashkenazi.
Oh, it is a blessing to know the truth. Because now when I call upon...
And we're going to go into this video right here, because this is a movie, and like sometimes Hollywood and the people that run Hollywood, which we know who it is those are the people that are still in the real people of the Bible's identity. They do little testers and they put shit out there so people, to see if people catch on. So this is a clip out of this video that of a movie, and I've seen this movie before. I forgot the name of it, but it's kind of interesting what they say in this script. Listen.
Till the end times. Today, my friends, we are in the end times.
How on earth did you manage that?
I knew he was scared.
Toby's got a gift for horses.
Real special touch, Master. Get back in the field. Steady on, Spaulding. What did you think of Toby's special touch with the horse? It was astonishing, no?
It's just unlocked, sir. Horses play smarter than they're African.
Good God, man. The Semites brought horses to Africa.
Alright, so the one dude called him an African. Notice that the slave owner, the other dude said Semites. And really the Jewish people of today are calling themselves Semitic people. But it's really not Semitic. It would be Shemitic, because Israelites, the black people, Negroes come from Shem. So it would be, and that's spelled S-H-E-M. So it wouldn't be Semite. They took out the H. They came up with a word themselves, but they use it freely within their deception of who they are, who the black people are, and everything. So notice that the slave owner in this Hollywood movie said that Semite. One dude called him African, the other dude called them Semites, because that's basically saying Semitic people, because Semitic is the line of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, especially Jacob, the 12 tribes of Israel. But one dude referred to him as African, the other dude knew the truth. He called him a Semite.
Horses play smarter than they're African.
Good God, man. The Semites brought horses to Africa.
Horses play smarter than they're African.
Good God, man. The Semites brought horses to Africa when they defeated the Egyptians more than 2,000 years before the birth of Christ. It never fails to amaze me that you've traveled the world, Spaulding, and seem to know nothing about it.
So he just basically said, he referenced to the Negro that pulled up on the horse. The Semites rode horses before when they went into Egypt, invaded over 2,000 years ago. This is in a Hollywood movie. So he referred, one dude referred to him as an African, the other one referred to him as a Semite. And that was the smarter, the Ivy League slave owner, that he knew that they were Semites. And that shows you back then that these people didn't give a fuck that they was enslaving God's chosen people. And this video is just to basically make you think outside the box. And if you think it's wrong, do your research, open your Bible, open your history books, and prove it wrong, debunk the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I did this just because when black people say shit, people don't want to listen. So let's hear some white. And there's more videos on here where it's white people going in and telling the truth. But if you want to look up this video, it's called White People Debunk Hebrew Israelites. That's all I got. Like, share, comment, you know what I'm saying? Follow your boy, whatever, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause I'm going to start dropping this knowledge like this. So, and it's going to come from every angle, you know what I'm saying? From wherever, because a lot of people don't understand what's going on in the world, and they think that what they think they know is actually the truth when that's far from the truth. So yeah, just holler at your boy and have a good night, good day.